Hello, I'll be solving question AP Calculus, AB 2022 response question number 3. For part A, it's asking to find f of 0 and f of 5. And to find f of 0, we want to do f of 4 plus integral from negative 4 to 0 of f prime of x dx, because we know the f of 4 is equal to 3, so we want to go the opposite way as I just drew an arrow on the graph to find f of 0. And I can rewrite the integral by pulling the negative to the front. And the integral will be from 0 to 4 of f prime of x dx. And if I calculate it, f of 4 is 3, and then integral from 0 to 4 is half circle. So it'll be 3 plus negative 1/2 times pi times 2 squared. It is negative 1/2 because the half circle is below y-axis. And by doing all the calculations, and my mistake is supposed to be negative, so it'll be 3 minus negative 2 pi equals 3 plus 2 pi. And f of 5 will be, we can use the same method as we just used for f of 0, like this, and I get 7 over 2 because integral from 4 to 5 f prime of x is just triangle, and I get 7 over 2. And for part B, is asking to find x-coordinates of all points of inflection of the graph for interval 0 to 7. And point of inflection means that f prime of x is either changing from increasing to decreasing, or from decreasing to increasing. So by looking at the graph, we can say when x equals 2 and 6, that's when the graph is going from decreasing at x equals 2, the f prime of x is going from decreasing to increasing, and when x equals 6, the f of prime of x is from increasing to decreasing. So those two x values will be the point of inflections. And to justify my answer, I wrote it like at x equals 2, f of prime of x changes from decreasing to increasing, and at x equals 6, f prime of x changes from increasing to decreasing. And for part C, it's asking to find when g is decreasing in the interval of x is from 0 to 7. And as it says on the question, g of x equals to f of x minus x. And since it's asking the decreasing, when g is decreasing, we use g prime of x, which will look like this. The g prime of x equals to f prime of x minus 1. And the question is asking when g is decreasing, which means that it has to be negative, so it has to be less than 0. So we could simply find that f prime of x has to be less than 1 for g prime of x to be negative, and g is decreasing. And if you look at the graph, when f prime of x is less than 1, it will be from 0 to x equals 0 to 5, and the answer will be g is decreasing on the interval 0 to 5 because g prime of x is negative on the interval. And for part D, it's asking to find the absolute minimum value on the interval 0 to 7 for the function g. So to find the absolute minimum value, we need to find a critical point which also means that f prime of x minus 1 has to be 0. And if I do the calculation, it will be f prime of x has to be 1. And from the graph, oh, that is way higher. The f prime of x will be 1 when x equals 5 and 7. But we also need to consider the endpoints to make sure that which one is the absolute minimum. So I made the table to compare the endpoints, which is x equals 0 and 7, and also x equals 5, which f prime of x equals 1. And I will calculate the f of x from this. And we already know f of 0 is 3 plus 2 pi, which approximately 9.283. And f of 5 is 7 over 2, which is 3.5 from part A. And for f of 7, it will be same as what we did in the part A, just f of 4 plus integral from 4 x equals 4 to 7 f prime of x dx. And as I wrote, I break the integral x equals 4 to 7 x prime of x dx into two parts as triangle and trapezoid. And if I do all this calculation, I'm sorry, I messed the table up. It's supposed to be g of x here, so I will erase the rest of it. My bad. And it should look like this. And if I do each calculation for each x value, nope, it's supposed to be x. I'm sorry, I'm keep messing up. So it'll be 0, 5, 7. This is the correct one. I'm so sorry. And finishing all the calculations, I got when x equals 0, I got 9.283. X equals 5 is negative 1.5, and x equals 7 is negative 0.5. So from these three values, I could say when x equals 5, g has the absolute minimum value because it has the lowest value. So as answer, I would say at x equals 5, g has the absolute minimum value, g of 5 is equals negative 1.5 on the interval 0 to 7. And yeah, oops, sorry, it's from Minami because I'm working on a collaboration space. And this is it. Thank you.